Hi, my Tabor City home here. And today we're laying down, all lubed up, and ready to work. Okay, so, 1981, Ford 555, she's my baby. But I broke my baby. So, I was working in the front yard, and got in this place where I had actually dug some trenches, looked for some plumbing lines. And when I did, I made some really soft area, and I ended up bottoming out the backhoe, just down the axles in some soft sand. And when I did, it actually ended up busting this line right here. Not this one, but the one I'm replacing here. This was actually a metal line, just like these. So what it did was it cracked it up here at this fitting. And so I went down to the ag store, said, hey, can you give me a hose I'm never going to have to replace again? And we ended up with this. Now, if I can remember this correctly, I'm thinking I remember the prices on this correctly. $35 fitting, $5 an inch hose, $68 fitting. The thing is, if you can see where this fitting lines up, it lines up pretty well right next to where it needs to screw on, right? But this hose, man, this thing that's Magilla Gorilla country right there. You're gonna have to be a hoss to get that thing lined up right, and that's what we're gonna try to do today. The other thing is, this 90-degree bend, in comparison to the original, was a little short. So what I did was I got this little extension piece here, which is a female and a male. Now, I think I paid like $6 for this. But I paid price for it for my father-in-law works at a company where they fix logging equipment, and they happen to have this. These are called number 16 fittings. So all these fittings here, these are number 16. So if you're dealing with having to get a fitting for these are number 16 fittings. And if you're dealing with them with a wrench, it's an 1.5-inch wrench that actually deals with these fittings. So we're going to see if we can Magilla Gorilla this thing in the shape here today. I'm not telling you I'm good. I'm just telling you that I try. So we'll probably edit a little bit of this because I see some cussing in the future, and I don't like to do that on camera, but I've already tried to pull this thing a little bit, and this hose is so stiff that it just is, it's going to take a lot. Plus, for some reason or another, if you work under a backhoe long enough and you have to hold your head off the ground like that, for some reason your head starts feeling like it weighs about 100 pounds. And I know I got a little bit of a big head, but it ain't that big, so, whatever. So, alright, let's see what we got here. Get this camera in proper position. Get a knee on that tire. The problem is I'm trying to bend the hose here without flexing the pipe too much. So, because I don't want to flex the pipe and crack another fitting on it. I just want to get the hose to bend so I can get that fitting hook on there. And just for you guys who say, well, hook this one and then go. No, I already tried that. That was no bueno. That didn't work out too well. So, because in all actuality, then you have to try to compress these together to close in the space there, which I'm going to give this a shot. If this doesn't work, I may go back and try to C-clamp this just to pull it together and see if that works. But we're trying this way right now because that's what we're doing. So stick with me here. So, actually, I was going to tell you guys about this. I actually had an interesting call the other day. Working for the fire department. Got a house fire. And it's a policy that if we have a fire that impinges on electrical components of a residence, one of the things we do is we have the power company come in and take the meter off the house. And so I did that, you know. I'm a guy who likes to do his job the right way. So I did that. Man, and this is a big fella, and he had actually participated in some libations, and buddy, he was ready to kick my butt. I really thought I was going to get stomped on that one. And you know, I got good guys to work with, and I'm sure they would have come in and helped me out, but I was going to take the first punch on that one, and it was not going to feel good. Because like I say, he was a big boy. Good Lord Almighty. You know, they say the Lord favors the bold, but I don't know, I want to be that bold. But I do want the Lord to favor me, so. Which I feel like he does every day. He's been awfully good to me. But, good gravy. Alright. It's going to be 2 knees on the tire. Good Lord Almighty. Alright, let's see here. We want to get this backhoe done because I'm going to show you a project that we have to get worked on. But, see, that's the other problem is the way this thing is, I think the hose is just a tad bit long. So the fittings here don't match up perfectly. And you're going to have to kind of get a bend no matter which way you go. And I feel like it'd be easier to line up the bend at the top than it would be to line up the bend at the bottom so we don't cross thread the fittings. So I don't know that. Like I said, I ain't no backhoe mechanic. I'm a guy who owns a backhoe that does mechanical things. I had an interesting one. When I first got this backhoe, and I ended up posting a bunch of stuff on different heavy equipment forums, asking people for help, which, you know, wasn't terribly fruitful for me, to be quite honest with you. I don't really feel like I got a whole lot out of anybody on that thing. But, the other day, I haven't been on them forums in months and months. And the other day, I get an email that says, hey, listen, such and such is posted on your forum. And I was like, oh, you know, let's take a look at it, see what's up. And it was actually some guy from France who owns a Ford 555 who is having some problems with his transmission, was asking for my help. So I kind of directed him to all this 555 transmission videos that I made, and told him if he needs anything else, give me a holler. I'll try to give him all the help I could. But because if you own a 555, man, we're a brotherhood. You gotta stick together on this thing, brother. There ain't a whole lot out here as far as resources for us. Now you could take that thing over there to the New Holland place, but they gonna ask you for your money. Just crowbarred you guys. That might be the ticket right there. Let's see if we can get this crowbar in here turned around. That ain't happening. Man, I do not want to put too much pressure on that thing because I feel like it's going to snap one of these other lines. But come on, brother. See? Huh? You guys got in the way. Are we getting in the way? Now, if I had a Halligan bar, I could probably make this thing go right. This little crowbar is just... If I can get... There you go. Get that curve and that crease. Let's see here. Let's add this wrench to this crowbar and see if we can get some love going there. See? Best laid plans. We might need a musical interlude or something on this thing, because the cussing's about to start. Alright, let me get back with you. I'll let you know how this turned out. What's up? How you doing? How you mama and them? Anyways, we are making progress. Let me show you what we got here. Now, I did ill-advise you guys on one thing. The factory fitting that was up there was 1.5 inches. Ended up having to go grab a wrench, which is 1 5/8 inches, because this aftermarket fitting that's on here is 1 5/8 inches. So I don't know. That's a good lesson for anybody. I normally would have checked. I just assumed, which you know how assume goes. I just assumed that because the fitting down here is actually 1.5 inches, that the fitting up top was going to be the same thing again. And you know what they say about assuming, so that one bit me. So, you know, big wrenches. Anyways, if you ain't never big wrenched nothing, you ain't never lived. It's like jumping out of an airplane. Not quite, but I'm just trying to make myself feel better. And so, I'm going to button this up, but a couple lessons. Before I put this hose on, I hand tightened that all the way, and I took it off, and I hand tightened that all the way, and made sure all the threads were going to work, okay? So I have a pretty good idea as I'm wrenching that up there how far this is going to go on here. You know, it's got a lot of turning to do. So if you put this thing on here and you get like 2 little turns out of it and it stops, you're cross threading it. Don't do that. The way I ended up getting this thing down so I could get it back on there was I actually stuck this crowbar in here, this side up, so it wouldn't keep popping off this rail. Ran it over here, went and got a breaker bar and used this as leverage. And because of the length of this leverage here, I actually had enough force from using the leverage that with my left hand I could get up here and just pop that on there and start threading it. And I'm holding pressure on it and threading it. I could change hands, get that thing threaded all the way up in there, and then once I had it threaded in there, then I was sure I wasn't cross-threading anything, then I was good to start wrenching on it. Other than that, just make sure once you're done with that, you tighten all that down. Now, this fitting up here, if I could show you that pail right there was empty when I put it under here, because that thing was dripping pretty good. And I said, well, I'm going to put it under the backhoe and just catch any oil. Most of the oil, I'm laying in oil. That comes out of that thing. That is like a 2.5 gallon pail, I think. So it leaked a lot of hydraulic oil. So if you take that line off there, you need to put something substantial under there to catch all that fluid. And it leaked for days. It's been 5 days, I think, 4 days since I took that hose off of there, and it has consistently leaked for 4 days. So I'm just going to reuse. I got a hydraulic cylinder on the front of the backhoe that's leaking. I just constantly just add a little bit of power steering fluid to it. Because of that, I'm just going to use that fluid that came out of here to supplement the steering, the fluid going into power steering for the time being. Which, if I run this backhoe, the other day I ran the backhoe 8 hours, and it used up, I want to say it was like maybe 2/3 of a quart of power steering fluid in an 8-hour period. So it's not terrible. But nonetheless, you know, might as well catch what you got that you already paid for and reuse it if you can. And we'll get along to redoing that cylinder sooner or later. Just, it's not on the top of my to-do list, and when you have other things going bad that you got to work on, you know, got to have toilets and flush in your house before you can worry about hydraulic cylinders on your backhoe. So, you know, that kind of stuff. Mrs. my Tabor City home kind of likes to be able to have functioning utilities in the house, so that's important. And yeah, again, you already paid for it, you might as well get some use out of it. Because I did buy all new hydraulic fluid to put in the system. You know, the thing about it is, when I rebuilt the transmission on this thing at the beginning of this year and went through it all, when I was done with that, I actually added new hydraulic fluid to the whole system. Every bit of hydraulic fluid that I added was brand new. Thing was, the hydraulic fluid that was in the things like the cylinders that were in the backhoe, I didn't flush that stuff out, so evidently it had some water in it, and you know, so there was some work to be done on that. And so as soon as I fired this sucker up and charged up the system, that fluid that had the water in it comes pouring back in the reservoir, and then everything just looks milky. So is what it is. You know, that creates a real danger because water doesn't compress nearly as fast or as well as hydraulic fluid does. And so if you're running a real milky hydraulic fluid in your cylinders, you run a real risk of tearing them cylinders and them seals up way faster than doing it with just good hydraulic fluid. So, you know, we're all big boys with big toys. You're going to do something, know what you're doing. You run the risk of it. Just accept responsibility for it if your plan goes bad. It's the way we are, we're men. So, anyways, so we're going to go ahead and get some hydraulic fluid added to this thing. Test it, check it for leaks, make sure we're good to go. And then we got some work to do with it today. We're actually going to use it to turn over the garden. Beyond that, you know, when you have these things break, it is what it is. You got to fix them. That hose with the extension altogether, I want to say like $116 into it. But the guy who made the hose gave me a lifetime guarantee on it. And he's not a fly-by-night business. That guy's been in business since like the 30s or 40s here in Tabor City, a long time. So he has no plans to go out of business. So I know I'll have a guarantee on that hose at least the lifetime I hold on this backhoe. So anyways, get outside and fix something, do something, repair something. Let's do something with our hands. America's not a disposable nation. You know, there's pieces of heavy equipment laying all over this countryside that is somebody who's got a few wrenches and a little bit of inspiration and knowledge can go out there and get working again. And that's a testament to America and the products that we make. So America is not a disposable nation. God bless you. From my Tabor City home to you, have a good day.